were some of the features that you found helped you the most, as far as for any blogger or anybody who has a business on Instagram? Were there, like you said, the story features, but what other features do you feel like you started to look at and was like, this could help me?
So when Instagram went into more of the reels is what we want to focus on. This is what we're trying to grow on our platform. I felt in the beginning it was going to be a hindrance, and I was like, okay, how can I do a workaround? Just posting reels all day. I mean, you have 7 seconds and all these different trends that get you a lot of likes, but when you go down and boil it down to, is this really converting to traffic to my blog?
Mm-hmm.
Attracting that ideal client, or potentially working both sides of it. I then knew, okay, what I need to focus on is maybe doing an intro to the reel. And what I like to tell people is kind of like when you go to the movies, the reel might be that beginning part of the show,
Yeah.
or that trailer, but then the stories is where you're breaking it down to engage them at a higher level. And that's
Mm-hmm.
why I was able to find trackable things like, yeah, I may get 70, 80 likes on a post from that reel, but it may take a little bit longer for that growth factor. So by that time, I'm already in my stories, and that's only a short-lived situation. So people are like, well, what's going to happen in the stories? Well, the story could be utilized very, cheaply, is what I say. Like if you need, hey, I just need to get a quick blog post up, I would go ahead and put a link into that one frame of the post.
Mm-hmm.
Once I utilize that link to push out to get views, then I would go ahead and then maybe post something else that's relative to the same post on the article to attract them to that post even more. And I'll give you one, for instance. Like today, I did a post on flooring in
Mm-hmm.
my Florida Homes and Living blog here.
You want me to share your screen for you? Sure. Oh, you got it. You good.
Yeah, I got it. Let me go into that one. So by going into my stories and just placing this in about Florida flooring ideas, the idea component clicks them off into the blog. By going into the blog, they may then say, oh, well, let's see more of this. And then it gets them to go ahead and kind of stay on there a little bit longer. And they're able to go ahead and kind of see other options that this could take them to.
Mm-hmm.
Many times they don't just stay on that one. They may send a DM through Instagram, which starts to open it up and create more of a dialogue to that end reader. And they have a way to connect to you than what a blog would do. Maybe they can
Uh-huh.
get notification and information from your blog, but it kind of gives them more insight on how to get to know you, your thought processes, and things like that. But those are what I call super fans. So when you get
Okay.
those super fans, they start to share your information, they start to tag you, and that kind of expands even more. So it may be a slower process. I know I have Florida Homes of Living with only 2,000 followers, but I get almost the same amount of traction online by utilizing my stories at a heavier level than I do on my real estate page of 13,000 followers. So I want that to resonate with people and share with them that you don't have to have a lot of followers to go ahead and make those connections at a higher level and make a higher conversion.
And those connections, they also bring in money because you get clients just
Yes,
from your Instagram. How
yes.
does that work from someone being a casual follower to now they're in your DMs like, hey, help me?
Okay, so that would probably be more service based, and I would say to go back to the real estate side of it,
Mm-hmm.
because on the real estate side, that person is going to go ahead and potentially look at some of the pretty houses. It's like, oh, that's a nice house. And oh, what's this? And oh, what's that? But what happens is I'm talking to them directly in those captions. So as
Mm-hmm.
they click on them, I started to kind of engage. I'm going to tell them where things are, but I'm going to also go ahead and tell them, there's minimal 5 bedrooms in this community, or this is a featured item that most can't have. And those are things that I'm prompting myself to say, what are the things that I can put on here that's going to kind of solve a problem for them? Because
Mm-hmm.
they're out searching on their own. They're like, oh, she's right. Oh, I'm having that same problem. So once you make that connection with them, immediately they want to go ahead and say, I just went to your page, a little too long. I need to talk to you. And here's my problem. And they just go right into it. Or I'll get people randomly that may email me and they'll say, hey, I've been following you for a while, never liked anything, never DM'd anything. So I think us creating these portfolios for people to go ahead and see is much way a bigger way to communicate with people than what we
Mhm.
think it is, because these things are sitting as a billboard online on Instagram all the time. And although you may think they're not engaging with you day to day, like you may go ahead and be able to get those reviews or views on your Google Analytics. This allows you to see some form of analytics as well with
Mhm.
Instagram, and you can see how many times in your stories, how many times the link has been clicked. And I think a lot of times it's under measured in Instagram, because I don't know if they understand people are utilizing that for that purpose to go ahead and
Mhm.
do it for conversions. So I will see if I measure something on like a Thursday and I put it up on a Friday and it kind of runs. I'll see like on a Monday, I'm like, hey, that blog is getting way more clicks than I anticipated. And I don't know if it's from a shareable effect. I don't know if it's direct clicks in that story. But what I will say is when I know I have a really good story, my way
Mhm.
of making it live longer than those 24 hours is to put it in a highlight. And
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
highlights on your front page are, I think, another thing that's underutilized too on Instagram.